Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Safari Pedals Show. I'm your host, Abby. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Crazy Wild Safari Pedals Podcast Zoo thing bandwagon. It's great to have y'all here. I am super pumped for today's episode because Sian McMullen is going to be hopping on the podcast. She is an awesome engineer. We're going to be diving into a plethora of topics from engineering, the relationship aspect, business aspect, living the freelancer life, to her philosophy and approach to mixing, recording, and all that good stuff. And some fun little nuggets in between. Oh, and wait, stop the train. We're going to be diving into burnout in the music industry and how she manages it, because it is a very high-intensity space and industry to work in. And without further ado, I'm going to stop blabbing and let's cut to the episode. Guys, please give a very warm welcome to Sian McMullen. Welcome to the show. Hell yeah.
What's up? What's up? I'm happy to be here. How you doing, Abby?
Great. Dude, it's so good to have you on. Before we dive into all the good stuff, let's start with who you are, what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Cool. Yeah, my name's Sian. I'm an engineer and producer based in Los Angeles. I've been diving into writing more too. And I just like making music.
Hell yeah.
That's what I do.
I love that. Right to the chase. I'd love to first go back. What got you into the world of audio? Like what got kind of, you can say, piqued your interest? And then in addition to that, when did you decide like, oh shit, like this is a career thing? Let's do this for like the long haul.
First part of your question, there was this producer named Mike Colombo who I would subscribe to on YouTube back in I was in like 8th grade. I graduated high school in 2014. So that had to be like 2008, 2007-ish, I guess. And it was mostly like his weekly videos were him producing live, and he would just make these really dope beats. But then one video, he was like, okay, here's what happens. Like after I make the beats, I send it to my engineer. And it was a video of his engineer. I wish I remembered his name, but I don't. He was like out in the Netherlands or something. And like it showed him with like the D control, like in Vegas mode with all the lights going and the faders going. And it looked super sick. And I'm like, oh, what's he doing? And I like wasn't even really paying attention to like what he was doing, but like that visual of like the studio, I was like, oh, okay. That's interesting. And then when I found a school for it the summer before I guess in between my sophomore and junior year. And it was like a very small trade school called Media Tech in Oceanside, California, down in San Diego. And I took a tour, and then I got to like actually be in the studio for the first time. They had a SSL duality. They also had in their post-production room, which was like a very small theater, they had like the big D command, and they did Vegas mode. So I got to see that in person. I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely coming here. So then I guess that kind of leads into like the second part of your question, where I went to school and actually like learned, very hands-on. I was, I think my graduating class, including myself, was like 5 people. It was very small. So we got to be very hands-on. And I know a lot of people who go to trade schools like that, it's like the classes are very big, so they barely even get to touch the board. Whereas I was, we got to be extremely involved. So I felt like I got to learn a lot there and then make a bunch of connections, because I also it was also like an active studio as well as a school. So I got to make a bunch of connections and eventually meet one of my mentors who was able to connect me to get an interview at Atlantic Records to engineer there. And so that's when I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I got it and I was like, oh, cool.
Hey.
This is, we're doing something here. Yeah. Just a few things. I'd done some corporate AV before then. I did some interning at this studio called Signature Sound down in San Diego. But, really getting the job at Atlantic, that was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this is for real now,
On that note, after having a good amount of time of engineering experience and some awesome credits under your belt, what would you say are, maybe for engineers and producers that are starting out, some characteristics or things to really hone in on, whether that's workflow, approach to relationships that really will kind of what's like, in your opinion, like that extra mile, like put an emphasis there and that'll kind of help push you ahead?
Knowing your stuff is really important, but like who you know is also extremely important. So who you know can kind of get you into the room, but what you know will keep you in the room and more importantly, get you invited back. So both of those things I would say are equally important. But I do think in engineering in particular, the social aspect of things does often get overlooked. And a lot of times when there's Q&As and panels and stuff, like everybody wants to know the technical stuff, like, oh, what should I put on my 808? What should I put on my kick? Which is like great to take that opportunity to ask those people that. But the things that you don't necessarily think about are like, oh, how do I interact with this brand new person that I've never met? And maybe they're having a bad day and they're going to write an emotional song because, a family member just passed away, or they're breaking up with their significant other, or they just got into a big fight with their roommate or something. These are all real situations that I've had. And like, they might be like highly emotional and this is your first time meeting. You have to create a space. And even if they're not, you still have to create a space that, they're comfortable to feel like vulnerable in to create the song. Because at the end of the day, like you are kind of the conduit for it. You have to make sure not only on a technical level that they have a good time, but also they feel, comfortable with you to do that. And at the end of the day, it is also a customer service gig basically too. So I, grew up like working at Domino's Pizza and a couple different restaurants. And so I'm always like making sure there's waters in the set before the session starts. And if I'm not like, busy at the desk and people are kind of just chilling and they're like looking for an ashtray because they're smoking, I'm like, oh, here, I'll move that ashtray for you. Or like, just very small things like that. People notice. So I just feel like the social aspect is definitely overlooked. But of course, like having a solid workflow, being prepared, being organized, that all matters just as much too.
I love to, on that note, hop on to a more, maybe you can say technical end of things and dive a little bit into your philosophy of engineering, mixing. When you kind of started out until now, were there any particular either engineering or mixing evolutionary workflow hurdles that you overcame over the course of your career, things that you'd want to highlight? Anything you'd like to drop on that topic?
I think it's so general. So if you know me, I could talk. So I could say a lot of things. I think I will say it's like ever evolving. I have very recently even changed the way that I've been doing things. I did find myself like a couple years ago, I felt like I was just kind of getting stagnant on, I was using like my same template every time and kind of just not being creative, and everything was sounding good, but I wasn't really like, I was just doing the same thing. And I was like, I was getting bored, but I realized it was my fault. Like I needed to, change some shit up. I'm like admittedly I'm not the most like the new plugins. I'm about to get that. I have a couple engineer friends that are, on top of it, and I definitely will seek their advice when I need it. But, I kind of like, I get comfortable with my tools. So I think making an effort to change your tools up a little bit more, in like just, even if it's as different as like something as subtle as just like changing kind of the order of how things goes, just to and A and Bing it with your original one, because on Pro Tools, you can save the track preset with all of your plugins or whatever. So even just like really checking yourself and making sure that what you're doing is actually better and you're not just kind of falling into the same habits. I would say that's been a big one over the past like 5 years or so, that I've definitely made it a point to change it up and just be creative and make it more fun for myself and make it better for my clients as well and just everybody involved. So that's been a big one. I would say like I really love routing folders. That's like a big tip I've been giving anybody who asks, like instead of using like auxes for your buses, I've been using routing folders just for like organizational reasons, because you can close them. So you can make your whole group and then make your whole or like your each individual groups and then put that into like, say it's all your beat. So it's like drums, music, bass, strings, horns, whatever, and then you put that into like the all beat bus, and then you have like your vocals or whatever else, and then you route all that into like your mix bus, and then you can just collapse everything, and it's just like super clean. And you can choose obviously what you like, but that's a good one for organizational stuff. And I would also say, just like, because I have been very fortunate to have had access to a lot of analog gear, shout out to Playback LA. I've definitely been making it a point, it's like kind of on the same tip as what I was talking about before, is like just trying new things and just being more creative with it, trying to keep it fun, you know? That's been important for me. I think that's been one of the most important things, is like keeping it fun for me.
Dude, that's awesome. So many gems there. And I like how one of the underlying themes that kind of stood out for me from what you said is that, like, a lot of it was you taking initiative and kind of being like, I'm not feeling creative, so I'm going to go look, I'm going to go seek, and I'm not going to wait for me to be inspired by something maybe now, maybe in 10 mixes. I'm going to go out and like shake things up. So I think that's a really great, practical piece that you can apply like at any point in your journey. Like you said, even if it's a matter of like, you know what, I'm going to open my template, try routing, maybe changing up the way that I bus things, like little things that can just get your brain wheels working.
Exactly. I've done some like weird stuff where I've like you send it to like a delay, and then you send that delay to like I'm doing it one where I'm using the Twin Panda actually, so I'm sending like a delay to the Twin Panda and like getting some cool distortion just on the wet of the delay, and then if you want to, you could send that to a reverb, and then you can set, you can get like super weird. It doesn't always end up sounding the best, but like it's cool because then you'll get a whole idea. I did one recently on this song that I've been mixing by this artist called Maya Sarkeesian. And we were like, I don't know, I was just being like really, really aggressive on like the verb. And then I put a pumper on the reverb, and then it sounded crazy, but then I printed the wet of all of it. And then I used that audio file, like tucked super down low, kind of like as a bed for everything. I don't know. It's just because of it sounded crazy, but I was like, oh, cool. We could print this and then like have more control of it all. So yeah, just like inspiring yourself, I guess, like you were saying, and just figuring stuff out.
This next topic is actually one that I covered in a blog post. Shout out Trinity Wolford. But I wanted to bring
Ox.
Ox, yes. Trend.wave, the one and only. Shout out. But I want to get your take on this topic as well. Having, years of experience in the industry, I touched on with her the whole concept of burnout in audio, because there's a lot of grind, a lot of hustle, and once things start to snowball, there can be a lot of opportunities and things. Like, do you have any advice for producers or engineers that may be kind of hitting that first wave, like how to manage that burnout and maybe how to kind of manage all the opportunities that may be popping up? Like, what's your approach to that?
Yeah, I'm still figuring that approach out, because burnout it happens kind of, you'll experience it for the first time, and then it will happen a few more times probably throughout your career. I mean, and it's just like life, like there's ups and downs. I will say that my relationship with music definitely has changed a lot, and it's evolved and still is evolving, and it goes through different stages because it is the job and it is the way that I make money. So I've definitely like experienced like lack of motivation to work on my own stuff for fun, and I've kind of lost sight at times of like really what the whole point of making music is, which is for fun. Is to express ourselves. It's art. And it's important to keep that in mind. I think that would be my tip, because that's what I always try to get back to, is like just have a session. If you're experiencing a lot of burnout, or just feel yourself kind of going down into that, that place, like take a break. Music's always going to be there. Do some stuff outside of music, but also like when you're ready to come back, or not even like come back, but like when you're ready and you feel like it, like just have a fun session with your friends. Just book a studio, have all your, the homies you make music with come through, and like let there be no pressure. Like just make something fun with the people you enjoy making music with. And that will help remind you of like, oh, okay, cool. This is why I do this. And even when it gets kind of tough mentally and I'm like fighting myself on it, that will help get you back to it. But also time outside of the studio is also important too. And your friends that you make music with, go to dinner with them or something sometimes. Go play mini golf, go bowling. Like it's important for you guys to also do stuff out of the studio together. I feel like at this point, I would say, 95% of the people in my life are people that also make music for a living or in the music or in the field or in the industry in somehow, some way. And so it's important to make sure that you guys, like, if you're really, good friends like that, make sure you take it outside the studio too.
Dude, so many gems, and I want to highlight so many things in what you said. One is like doing things outside of making music, like touching grass with friends, socializing, like, because it's so easy
seeing the sun.
Yes, it's so easy to like, especially if you're in like a commercial studio, to like not see daylight and to be in like a cave. So I really love how, like, because it sounds like such simple things, but it really is significant. Like the difference on days where like I don't touch grass or leave cave, and
like your mood and energy. Yeah, you feel so much better when you go outside. And I will say, like, when I was, younger, I'll be 30 later this year. So like in my early 20s, I was just like so down. And especially because before I lived in LA, I was driving from San Diego. So I was on the road a lot. And I was just like, I would take late night sessions. I was just down for whatever. Now that I'm older and like things are different in my life, I've definitely made it a point to like, just, it's okay to say no. But I've worked hard enough to like, you got to take the jobs that you think are going to help propel you in your career for sure. Be selective about your no's, but it is important to like, you don't always have to like take that 2 a.m. session. If you're already in bed and you like had a long day, you already had another session, it's okay to just say no, go to sleep, get your rest. It's important to sleep, So I think that's also important as well, to carve out that time for yourself and understand your own limits.
To sum up everything we spoke about, I always love to ask our guests to either drop, it can be a piece of advice or just anything general you want to drop to the amazing Safari viewers. Do you have anything else to drop to the people?
Yes, shout out to the Safari viewers. Thank you guys for having me and watching this. I would say just keep going. Like in my opinion, anybody, I've been so fortunate to work with a lot of really, successful people, like, and I mean that in terms of like music, some real legends in this business. And I'm very grateful for that. And I would say that like the one consistent trait in all of those people, is persistence. They just keep going. You're going to get a lot of no's. Things are going to look bleak at times. Just being persistent, just keep going. That would be my major tip, because somehow I'm still here. I'm still making it work. I'm still only engineering. I've been living in LA for almost 10 years now, which is crazy to think about. Things are getting more expensive, but shit, I'm here because I just haven't given up yet. So
yeah,
I think just don't give up.
I love that. So guys, see, she's a testament to the, it can be done. And dude, we can do a whole other podcast episode if you want on the price of things in LA. That could be its own topic. Guys, I'm going to link all of Shan's info, Instagram, website, all the good stuff will be in the description below, so you'll know where to find her.
Thank you.
And dude, thank you so much for blessing us with gems, your insights, and it's great to have you on there.
I appreciate it. Shout out to Safari Pedals. Hey. It's all love, all love. No crystals or energy. Look at the chemistry. It do not even mix chemically. Most of the tricks, they be gimmicks. They mimic the truth. It's poison and we got the